wants her to recognize that she would do everything within her power to be able to make a difference, to be able to be worthwhile and valued by her family, but especially by the matriarch. And it's funny because you would think that as we grow up, that would go away, but it doesn't, which can end up making you very type A in your personality traits, wanting to be goal-oriented. You may really overcompensate. Our society is so rewarding to people that are like super achievers, but I know that often that's because of a wound, a hurt, in hopes that that person will really recognize us. And the hard part is that often they never will. Where the real healing comes from is us recognizing that it's not our titles or deeds or jobs or careers. It's in who you are as a person. He's going to fix it. Type A personalities enjoy solving problems. They're really good at it. They're really good at solving everyone else's problems more than their own. They care a lot. They think a lot. They worry a lot. And everything is about trying to put things in place to be able to fix, solve, and do. But type A personalities also come with those personality quirks of worrying too much, being too hard on themselves. It's never good enough. And so you end up with all these traits that can cause a lot of good things. You're only as good as your last project. So even before you finish climbing one mountain, you're looking for the next mountain to climb because that's where your self-worth is. Just continue on about type A personalities forever. What happens if you are the black sheep of the family, that patient X, the person that everyone puts all of the faults and flaws and mistakes onto? A lot of times, that happens in a family where one child is that placeholder for all of the hurt and trauma in the family. It's often used as a tool in a family so that the rest of the family can get along. It's easier that way. But it's really hard on that one child. And sometimes what happens is if someone's constantly blamed, even when it is not their fault, they might just decide, you know what? If I'm gonna get blamed anyways, I might as well do these things that you think that I'm doing that I'm not. And so it can sometimes become this self-fulfilling prophecy. And when there's a lot of pain and angst in a family, there's often that want to have a scapegoat, someone that you can throw all of this on so you don't actually have to deal with the issues at hand. And I think that that's what's happening with Abuela, is that she has placed all of this on Mirabel because then she doesn't have to deal with the actual fractures that are in her family. If I had them in therapy, what I would try to do is to be able to show that, you know what, we're all like cogs in place. We all play a part. And it isn't just one person that is the cause of any ills. He's up to it. Being so hard on someone is not going to make them stronger. It just breaks them down. I think that the home cracking is that perfect metaphor for what happens when we sometimes, in misguided love and care and hold things too tightly because we need failure and mistakes and taking risks and learning on our own, even if it's wrong, in order to be stronger and better and not have that fear of risk stop us.
With a distorted perspective, you can't see your battles clearly because what you're seeing is through shame. And through shame, it's like, I'm bad, everyone's bad, God, you're bad. I believe the number one reason why people will struggle with God, where are you, is because shame has hit them. It's clouded their view, and so therefore it gets put on God. We start blaming, we start going, where is everybody, right? Because shame is covering our perspective. When God is going, this isn't about blame, this isn't about shame, I love you right now. My grace is here to empower you. My mercy's here. But shame's going to block. Don't let them see it. Don't let them see it. Don't let them see it. Because if you do, you're going to be empowered. You're going to be set free. And so I feel like when it comes to the things we're struggling with, if shame's in the picture, you're going to be in a deficit. It's like you're already losing because it's enough that you have the battle that you're struggling with. It's a whole added burden to have shame over having the battle. So you got a mental health battle and you got shame over having the mental health battle. You're struggling with your marriage. You have shame over the struggle with your marriage. You have these OCD, intrusive thoughts, these crazy thoughts that come through. And you're like, maybe I'm crazy because the shame makes you wear it as though this is you, right? You have these thoughts. And it's like, yeah, these came from you because you're that person. And it accuses you and you just feel it and it's all over you and you're drowning. And this is what happens. We're drowning. We're going, God, help me, God, help me, God, help me. And he's like, I'm here with my love, with my grace, my mercy. We're like, no, God, where are you? Where are you? We're flailing, right? Because that's what shame does. Fear, judgment, hiding. I'm afraid. Judgment's coming. Get me out of here. I'm a mess, right? So it's really nasty in what it does. Now, this distorted perspective will ooze out in how you see other people. And so as you're scrolling through your social media, or as you're interacting with friends, or you hear news about what's going on, listen to the shame that comes out of our mouths as we just condemn, judge, and beat up other people with our words, right? And how people who are judgmental of others, they forget their own battles. They forget their own things that they struggle with. They've disconnected. And so what happens is when you carry a shame interior, it's easy to shame on others. You take that shame and you put it on others, right? We even have that saying, shame on you. Shame on you. I'm going to do a video in this series called Shame Off You, because that's the goal that I'd like to see happen in your life and happen in your journey. I hope this is making sense so far, because number one, it distorts your perspective. Number two, what happens is it's going to open you up to negative self-struggles, meaning these are strongholds and battles and wars and self-talk and things that accuse you, that beat you up, that are hostile to you. And I conceptually talk a lot about this in my book, God Loves Me and I Love Myself. I'd encourage you to get it. In fact, there's a chapter on shame that I walk through, but then there's a chapter in there where I talk about the self versus self battles, where the enemy lines you up to be an enemy to yourself. He's the enemy, but he wants you to be an enemy to yourself, right? And so what shame does is it heightens this. And there's three main ones I find. One is self-condemnation. What does that mean? It means you look at yourself with judgment and a punishment lens. You know, this is wrong and I deserve a punishment for this. And so many people that I'm working with, I'm encouraging them to come out of a punishment-based relationship with God and into a love and grace relationship with God, because the basis of how they interact with God is punishment-based. That's how their foundation is. And if that's your foundation, you will struggle with being hard on yourself, with shame, with fear all the time, because you have nowhere to land. You have no safety, because the safety is making sure you do everything right, and you'll never do right. This self-hatred is it underlies all of this, because what is hate? Hate is the removal of love, the withdrawal of love, where love gets leaked out, and as love is not present, what takes the place? Fear and hatred. Hatred is the absence of love. Hatred is what is present when love is not there. And so people say, well, I don't hate myself, because they think of hating themselves as like screaming negativity at themselves all day. A lot of us are screaming it in our thoughts. But it's not just that. It's just not having love towards yourself. Hate comes in and creates self-hatred. You don't love yourself in a way that God designed you to be free. When you're free from self-hatred, you're able to flow in the love of God and let that love flow. God's freeing a lot of people from self-hate in these days, and I love it. I get excited about that because it's true and it's real. Or self-rejection, because self-rejection has a lot to do with I'm not worthy to be loved. And that's something that shame really attacks. It attacks that sense of not being worth of having love, that you don't have value, you don't have worth. People don't love you, and they're going to reject you. So then it partners up with that rejection thing, right? And rejection wants to be rejected. Like, here we go, see? And shame just covers it. And shame wants to communicate to you in self-rejection. If people see the real you, if they see the real vulnerable you, they will not love you. They will not accept you. And it will prove you're unlovable. And this is the front line of Satan's attack, is he wants to just continually hit you with unworthiness, hit you with this stuff that just makes you not able to receive love. Many people are saying, God, where are you? He's here. But oftentimes we can't receive it because shame is muddying up the waters, so we've lost our ability to see. We're swimming in the ocean of the depths of God, but we can't see because the waters are kicked up. with the sand and debris. What's that? That's shame. And many times what we need to do is not try harder, because the more you swim and the more you try, that sometimes we try harder out of shame. Like, oh goodness, I got to get myself out of this because I hate how I'm feeling. What we need to do is calm down in the kindness and love of God and go, it's okay right now. And let the water settle. And then we start to see, I'm going to be okay. He's with me. And in his love, I'm going to learn to overcome. Man, shame doesn't want you to know that at all. At all. And Satan's all over that. Now, shame, what it does, that makes it very unique to its battle. And psychologists would agree with this as well, too, is it hits at your identity. And what I mean by this is like, it's different than like you did something wrong. It's like you are wrong. And because you are wrong, it proves you're unlovable, you're unworthy, you're not enough. A lot of you got this unlovable, unworthy, I'm not enough underneath at the bottom of the root system. If you peel back your traumas and your dramas and peel back the stuff that you're struggling with and get down to the bottom, what's there is I'm not worth it. I'm not worth being loved. I don't matter. I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable enough. So therefore, and if that's a basis of belief and root system, it's shame-based, and it's going to just drive you to either hyper-perform. Either, man, you're going to do so much to try to keep people from ever seeing that you don't really like yourself. Or you're just going to give up. Go forget it. There's a lot of quitters out there. Now, you can quit inside and still act like you're still going on the outside. Are you with me? You can internally just pull the cord, right? Be like, I'm out. Throw in the towel. But outwardly still go through the motions of the day. And people don't know. Right? Shame either wants to make you, it's an internal fear and, oh my goodness, judgment on myself that I either got to hurry up and fix this by performing, put on the facade, or forget it. Why even bother trying? Where do you land? Now, number 4 is that shame, it infects. And I use this word infects because it's toxic, it's contagious. It has an infectious nature to it. Shame infects how you are seen. I want you to really pay attention to that word seen. I mentioned this in my previous video on what is shame. It's, do people even see me? And shame will say, not only do they not see you, but when they do see you, they're kind of disgusted. They look at you with disdain. They look at you with contempt. They look at you with disapproval. And so what happens is we then carry that. And it's very infectious, because if you walk into a room believing you're unlovable, and that becomes your focus, you're going to look for validation in that. Right? You enter into a room, you go, people don't really want to talk to me anyways, because I don't have anything. I don't have what it takes. And then something happens. You go, see that person? They ignored me. See that person? They laughed at me. See this? And what it does is our belief system looks for validation. And so we keep building, and when we build, shame builds up a case. And isn't that what Satan does? He's a prosecutor. He's an accuser, building up a prosecutory. Is that even a word? He's a prosecutor, rhetori. He brings prosecution, a list of all these things against you. And for many of you, it's been piling and piling and piling and piling and piling. How do we get free? We realize we don't have to listen to those accusations. We don't have to give in to them. That's not how God sees us. But it doesn't start with trying harder. It starts with learning to be loved. It starts with kindness. But shame will say, you know what happens if you see the real me? Will you love me? And so how do you see yourself? What shame wants to do is, when you see yourself, you're primarily viewed by your sins, flaws, weaknesses, failures. It becomes through that. So if this hand is your sins, weakness, and failures, this is you. It's like I'm always seeing through that. That becomes my lens in how I see. I see some of me represented by this hand here. I can kind of see through my fingers of my left hand, but this is distorting it. And many of you have to begin to remove so you can see yourself the way that God sees you. In his love, in his grace, in his mercy. And so shame is going to see you as one with those things. Not you have had those issues in your life. You are those issues. Right? You can have a sin issue. You are not the sin issue. something important. You may have depression. You are not depression. You may have anxiety. You are not anxiety. You may have had sexual sins in your life or struggles or addictions. You are not addictions. That's not who you are. Yeah, it is, Mark, because I've had it all my life. Show me a scripture where God says that's your identity. Shame wants to keep you in that, right? It's one thing to recognize what's manifesting in your life. It's another thing to come into shame's agreement with that's who you are, right? Because even the Bible, when it talks about murderers, adulterers, it's talking about those who practice it. These are people that practice it. But what shame wants to do is it wants to make a label over your life as a limitation. And now it limits the grace and the love of what God can do in and through your life. And so it's going to affect how you're seen. How are you seen? What's your identity? What's the reputation you carry and how you see yourself? Number 5 is what it's going to do is infect your ability to give and receive love because it disqualifies you. It keeps you in a place of unworthiness. So the flow is out. I talk about in my book, God Loves Me and I Love Myself, about the flow of love. This is very, very important. A lot of people don't understand how love is a flow. They think that self-love is a selfish thing. Never should be. If it is selfish, it's not self-love. Because love is meant to be received from God. You love him back out of the love you've received from him. We love him because he first loved us. You love yourself the way that he loves you, and you love your neighbor as yourself. So the love is received from God. It's accepted over yourself and given out to others. So it becomes a river of flow. What does shame want to do? It wants to prevent that. It wants to hinder your ability to give and receive love. Number 6 is it impacts your sense of belonging. Because there's a thought that if I'm myself, I don't think I'll belong. And I'm going to be honest, I've spent so many years making sure I fulfilled a role. Because part of me felt like if I'm truly myself, I don't know that I'm really going to be accepted. I don't really know that I'm going to belong. So here's what happens. We try to become what we think people want us to be or need us to be or communicate that they want us to be. And so then you got to look a certain way or have a certain success to belong. And I see this a lot in how we communicate. There's a lot of success communication and it's great, all these things that we present and all this stuff that happened, and it's amazing, right? Sometimes I wonder, do we do that so much because we have so much shame that if we don't have constant success to report, we don't belong. We don't have worth. We don't have value. Because success and achievement is not where you get your value from. And for some people that it doesn't seem to be happening, I say consider it a gift because it's time for you to reevaluate where you get your validation from. People that are always in this like success machine, they begin to subconsciously think they don't have to deal with anything in their life because the shame kind of quote unquote works for them. They cover with their achievement, with their success. Now, number 7 is an interesting one because I find shame has a physiological effect. And what I mean by that is that shame in many ways, it's like it makes your skin crawl. You actually feel the effects of it. You ever just standing in the shower and you have a thought of a reflection of an experience in your life and you just feel it all over. You just feel this yuck. It's an easy way to detect shame is when you think of a memory and you just have this yuck all over you. And sometimes you just want to scream it out or wash it out in the shower. It's because it's an emotional, but it's a spiritual and emotional feeling that becomes challenging to shake off. I notice that even in marriages, there's shame that prevents couples from having further intimacy together, right? And it even affects physiology and how they're able to be physically intimate because it affects them so much. And we live in such unclean generations that we've had these traumatic experiences. We've been unloved. And it's interesting, even in the Bible, when Jesus ministered, he talked about casting out unclean spirits. And we could get into theological discussions on what does that mean? What's an unclean spirit? But let's just look at it practically. Like by nature, they just make you feel unclean, right? They want to lead you into unclean things, but there's an uncleanness that's like a residue that's left behind, right? Example being like the woman caught in the very act of adultery and she's brought out. That story is unbelievable in what it does to really just wipe the slate of how we treat each other and how we see each other. In that moment, there's just that uncleanness felt. And there's two responses: the response Jesus gave and the response the leaders gave of that time that had the judgment shame mentality. And what did Jesus have to do? He just had to remove the shame for freedom to open up. I'm going to spend a whole video just talking about that factor right there. But I find that shame, it creates a physiological, you don't feel good about yourself, right? Or there's been, either traumas or past experiences or even sexual experiences, just stuff. And it's like, you just don't feel, the way I would describe it, it's like, I just don't feel settled in my own skin, right? To just feel purely loved by your Father in heaven. Because all you're hyper aware of is all the flaws and all the reasons that disqualify you. And Satan's right on that. He's like, yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we go. I got another reason too. I got 20 more I'll stack on top of this. Shame, 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 shame. Right? To just keep us from being able to experience God's love, his grace, his mercy. So shame's going to always drive you in fear to hide. This is what it infects you with. It infects you with fear. Hit Adam from the beginning. It infects you with fear. And so you're going to hide. Sometimes we hide in our shame by shaming on others and attacking others, and keeps us from dealing with our own stuff. And so here's the thing that's really the take home. Shame, because it makes me hide in fear, it doesn't let me face myself. See, what you and I need to do on a regular basis is face ourselves in love, grace, and mercy, not in judgment, condemnation, and all this accusation we sit under. Because it's easy to do that. But we're in a covenant that gives us an atmosphere that's empowered. But I can't face myself if I've got shame, because I'm just going to hide from all the issues. And I won't come into the light. God says, if we walk in the light as he's in the light, we're like, no way. I'm not going to stand naked in his light. You crazy? You crazy? What shame doesn't let us realize is it's actually a light of love. And it's a light of freedom. And it's a light of liberty. It's a light of being set free. But we come under the bondage and the lie. Don't go there. So we never face ourselves. We don't face what's going on. We don't face what's going on in our marriage. We don't face what's going on with our kids. We don't face what's going on in our communities. We don't face the real problem. Shame gets us lost in just hiding because we're afraid. So therefore, we don't have real relationships. We don't have real conversations. We don't have real we're living in a fake world, all fueled by shame. Because I'm afraid. If I'm in shame, I'm afraid. If you see anything real, vulnerable in me, it gives you license to reject me. And it's not just, hey, you reject something I did. You're rejecting who I am. That's what shame's tying into. So 9 is it disconnects you from relationship with others. You never really get to, because a lot of times we're a really good, honest conversation from having a better relationship with somebody, but we can't because we say things out of shame that pierce people and we listen out of shame. So we can't hear it, right? What a spiritual, emotional dodgeball match that's going on. We're just all avoiding each other. Why? We have shame in our ears. We have shame in our mouths. So when we see vulnerability in someone, we say things that are unsafe. And then when somebody's trying to say something, we have shame in our ears. So we can't even hear what's being said. What would happen if we remove these things from our hearts and realize God doesn't shame us? He's empowering us. His love covers a multitude of sin. His love is here to set us free, to lead us into freedom. God did not send his son into the world to condemn it. Why does the Bible say that? Because God had every right to. He had every right to go out. I'm cleaning y'all up. You bunch of sinful, unclean people, disobedient. He said he loved the world and he did not send his son to condemn, but that the world through him might be saved. What does that even mean? It's opening you up to the relationship with God and his love, right where you are, right where you're at, to receive you, take you in, and lead you by his grace and by his mercy. He loves you right now. He loves you right now where you're at. I got all this stuff. I got all these battles. I got all this stuff. Yo. And I'm sorry that other people put garbage on you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that when people saw the real you with your flaws and weaknesses, they turned their face in disgust. I'm sorry that people judged you and mishandled you. It was shame. It was their own shame. It was their own sin. And so what the enemy wants to do is, number 10, is just really disconnect you from God. So you go and you run and hide. And I'll talk about this in a video in its own where God comes to Adam. He says, Adam, where are you? And what does he do? I'm hiding. I was afraid. And God had to ask him, who told you? Who told you this? Who told you? And for so many of us in our shame, we don't take the steps of healing because of shame. I talk to people all the time who say, man, I'm so passionate about heart healing and being healthy and whole, and I feel like a lot of people around me aren't interested in it. Mark, why is that? Why is it that it's like, you can't find that camaraderie and like wanting to be healed and set free and work through issues? And there's a lot of reasons for it, but my simplest answer is shame. It's shame. They're afraid. They feel judged, so they hide. And they do that over and over again. And it's too painful to cross over into that place of vulnerability and saying, God, let me work on the issues of my life. Because God knows how to look at whatever you've been through with perfect compassion, perfect grace, perfect mercy, and empower you. Because he knows what led up to that. He knows all the factors. He knows everything. He knows why you do what you do. He knows why you don't do what you do. And that sets him in a place of compassion. He knows all and sees all, and he receives you. But we don't give that to ourselves, right? So many times the step in opening up our relationship with God is breaking off the shame. And being kind to ourselves reflects the kindness that God is looking at us with right now. I hope this is helpful to your life, to your journey. If it is, would you take a moment, go to markdeasis.com, consider a one-time donation, support this work. I'm going to continue on this series and just continue empowering your hearts to live healed, empowering your hearts to live free. I'm going to share everything God's shown me in my own life. I appreciate some of your comments in the comment section, and how some of you say, yeah, shame has taken over my life. Right. And what it'll do is it prevents you from actually dealing with things because you just stay stuck in certain cycles. You stay stuck in certain areas of pain. It just keeps you from it. If you're yourself around unhealthy people before and they hurt you, you feel like you can't be yourself. Yep, I know what that feels like. Can it be fear as well? Yes. Yeah, fear partners with shame. Shame empowers fear. The more shame is there, that's a very insightful comment. The sexual abuse as a child kept me in an unclean feeling and destroyed marriage in my life. Yeah. Almost killed me. I get you. I get it. It destroys true intimacy. And it affects, I find it can affect women in certain ways and men in certain ways. In marriages, though, it really prevents the intimacy because it's like, if I share this battle and you react in shame, I'm going to hide this, And if you know my history or know this, and when you get free from shame, we don't see just the battle. We see the person. We see the heart. And we're able to realize, hey, that your past doesn't have to be your permanent biography and your past doesn't have to be your future. And that stuff was not even you anyways. It's just the enemy. It's just sin seeking to work through your life. That's not who you eternally are. So we can be merciful. We can be gracious to each other.
Hey, Ben here. In this video, I'm going to share with you how you can use something called bilateral stimulation to reset a dysregulated nervous system. Basically, whenever you feel like your nervous system is a little bit tuned up, if you're feeling a little bit tired and wired, this exercise will help to coordinate the two hemispheres of the brain, help you lock into a pattern, and most importantly, help you drop into a little bit of a flow state. I'm going to demonstrate the exercises and then you can join right in. This is a follow-along video, so enjoy. Basically, the concept is we want to just alternate movements back and forth, and sometimes, as you'll see, we'll cross the midline. So the first exercise I'm going to share is simply just tapping with one hand after the other. And you can go ahead and join in. And as we count, I'm going to use my right hand as the counter every time it hits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, join in, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, same thing, this time we're going to add the element of crossing our arms, and I'm going to do the same thing, bilateral stimulation, tapping this time on my shoulders. Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go twice more. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Last one. This time we're going to cross the midline and we're going to touch our right hand to the left knee and the left hand to the right knee. Now, if you're standing, you can do this like I am. If you're sitting, you can do this as well just by slightly raising your knee or even just crossing your hands over and tapping a little bit further down. All in all, I'll demonstrate, and when you feel comfortable, you've got the pattern, feel free to join in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll go twice more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. All right. So these are simple exercises you can do whenever you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. Lastly, one additional one you can do is if you have a ball, a piece of fruit, an object that's easy to toss back and forth, you can stand or sit with your weight feeling centered, and you can simply toss the object back and forth in a nice, even, rhythmic pattern. Enjoy.
Because here's the other thing, when we're trying to fix ourselves, I'm trying to get rid of pieces. Shame, get the heck out of me. I don't want this. I hate this. So I'm trying to amputate pieces of myself. Rather than that, it's more like, you're feeling shame? Yeah, how could you not? You've been through so much. You were made to feel horrible. I'm so sorry. Let me show you how much space we have. You don't have to feel that alone anymore. Like, my adult pieces are here and I can help you. There's a difference. Can you guys feel the difference? Like, as you think about that, does that make sense?
And it causes us to go into some extremes, into some ditches that prevent us from our effectiveness. So when it comes to love, instead of being rooted and established in love, we feel the need to earn love. We feel the need that we've got to do something to be loved. We have a performance mentality that forms in our life, so we become performance driven, even in our interaction with God and with others. There's always a nagging sense of not being able to be safe, to just land in your own skin, to be at peace with where you are and who you are. So we tend to start avoiding things. We avoid things in our life. We avoid situations. Why? It's not an intelligence problem. It's a love factor that's preventing us from going to the next level. And rejection is betting on the fact that if it can keep you feeling unsafe, then you'll avoid the situations that you need to face to break through. Why? Because dealing with some of those painful areas is uncomfortable. There's a great deal of discomfort, and even being in relationships is awkward. It's a struggle. Everything seems to have so much drama or pressure or fear attached to it, because the reality is love brings safety. Love says it's okay. You're accepted. You are brought into relationship. Love brings the safety that your heart desires. At the end of the day, this love deficit in our lives, the sense of separation from love that rejection fuels, leaves us unfulfilled. So you can earn, perform, and do all kinds of great things, but at the end of the day, you feel unfulfilled. If you feel unfulfilled in your life, it's a sign rejection has had a work in your root system and has distorted how you feel loved and how you look for fulfillment in your life.
So when it comes to identity, the identity is often based on achievement. If I don't achieve something, then my identity doesn't have the worth that it could have. Or if you don't go into achievement, maybe you just self-reject and you don't bother at all, so you get passive in life. You get passive in life because of a confidence issue. You see, love and identity instills in you the confidence that you know God's got your back. You have what it takes in God to step forward into what's available for your life. But rejection sends you lies. No, you got to achieve. If you don't bring something to the table, you have no worth and you have no value. So it plants into those insecurities, those unstable places where you're just not in that place of confidence, and you'll either burn yourself out in achievement, or you won't bother trying and you will take a safe route of passivity, which both are dangerous ditches to live in. Many people in today's society live in a state of confusion at many levels over their identity. Why? Because identity is bestowed. It is spoken. It must be reinforced. And so many people live with a vacuum of emptiness where they weren't instilled and given, spoken over, imparted the power of the identity, who you are. Most of us only got affirmed if there was an accomplishment. But there wasn't no validation as Jesus received. This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased. So no wonder we live in a society of confusion. The lack of the Father's love, the lack of being connected to that love relationship and identity opens up the door for confusion, for double-mindedness. Then we're all comparing ourselves to other people in relationship, never feeling good enough. And even if we do feel better, it's a false sense of feeling better because at the core of ourselves, we're still in a place where we feel like we're never enough. Like we just don't match up. Nothing's ever good enough. Nothing ever satisfies. So the healing process begins with restructuring, rebuilding, reconstructing what it means to be loved as a child of God. And for many of you, that's the renovation that God is bringing into your life. You see, for me, I came to God with a great need for Him to deal with some areas of my life. Little did I know He had to go to the root system. And it began with addressing the rejection mindset and rebuilding who I am in His love and who He's made me to be.
It's like the guy who just keeps over talking and won't stop talking. And everyone in the room goes, man, every time he just won't stop talking. He just hijacks the conversation. He's not aware of it.
Right. It's kind of like a good example is like Michael from The Office when Jim would look at the camera and be like,
correct.
He just is so self-unaware.
Yeah, Michael from The Office is a great example of of rejection in work in so many forms, like the birthday episode when it was his birthday. And he couldn't get, this is a good example of neediness where like he can't get it out of his head that it's my birthday and I want everyone to recognize my birthday,
right?
And Kevin is going through possibly being diagnosed with skin cancer,
right.
And Michael's mad because that trial that is taking the attention away. So that's another rejection issue. Is like you have a neediness that when it's drawn to someone else, like.
You can't handle it.
You get mad.
Yeah.
Because really you want the attention on yourself and you want so I think that it takes like honest feedback of like, yeah, I'm starting to realize this and even hearing from somebody else. That's like, yeah, you know, why don't you lay back a little bit? The problem is that if anyone brings up something connected to your rejection issue, get ready for anger to kick up.
Right.
So like I would venture into this with people. I'm like, all right, God, I'm going to take the jump and this could either go really bad or we're about to have major breakthrough because it would happen over and over again in our pastoring work.
Yeah.
And it's like, it would all come to a head and I'm like, all right. And like one phrase that I would say, because there was some people who would like excessively look for attention in different ways.
Yes. Yep.
And I would say this way, I would say, I want you to know you're so loved. You're so accepted, validated. This is a safe place. Now, this is after time. This wasn't like first meeting.
Right, you have to earn the right.
This is years,
right.
right? I just want to encourage you. You don't have to try so hard. That's what I would.
Right.
Because what would happen is the neediness would cause them to overtalk, over attention, and it would wear on people, and then people would be like a void.
Withdraw.
So therefore,
that feeds it even more.
So therefore, they would reject the person, which then feeds their history,
Right.
keeps them stuck. So I was like, I try to look at positive ways to reinforce, this issue, rather than, because you don't want to make people feel shame, but sometimes it's very difficult to avoid it.
Yeah.
So it's like, you don't have to try so hard. And I could see the anger rising up. And I'm like, just hang in there. Just hang in there. You're loved. You're loved. And some people would break through. It's like you could see something lift off. And they're like, yeah. Because they realize I'm worn out. I'm frustrated. I'm exhausted. And then others would go, he doesn't love me.
Right.
And they would listen to rejection, because that's what rejection says. Rejection wants to be rejected, and it wants to convince you of a case. That person doesn't love you. And it wants to, because if the enemy can do that, get you in a case where that person doesn't love me, I now lock them out. And over the years, you lock more people out, more and more people out. Then you're isolated. And in the isolation, you're now opened up for losing your mental health. You're opened up to darkness. You're opened up to the dangers of emotional isolation.
Yeah, well, rejection is such a twisted thing because it's an insatiable need to want to feel, it pings at your wounds of wanting to feel loved, safe, be seen, be heard. But what you're doing, you want it so bad, but yet it's doing the opposite. Mm-hmm. It's such a nasty, twisty, ugh.
Right, because the end goal is that you be rejected, that you just convince yourself, I'm rejected, I'm not loved.
Right.
And at first, it just uses little references, and it just causes you to look for that. It's interesting how people can walk into a room and there could be 97 people that love you of the 100 people, and you just remember the 3 people,
That
right?
don't give you
Isn't
what
it
you
interesting
need, yeah.
how I remember when I would lead worship, we would have these amazing moments where God's presence would be with us, and I would be tuned into the 2 people with their arms folded.
Right. Instead of just being like, this is great. And most of the people are loving it and being, because it really goes to the core of you being totally secure in who you are.
Correct.
That's it.
That's the ultimate goal.
That's it.
But we're not.
No. I want it. Yeah.
So I started to notice this in my life. And for me, I felt like when the light bulb came on, I said, it's everywhere. And I feel like if you can start with that, where you can go, rejection is everywhere, and that's where you kind of exhort a lot of people.
Right. I do say that. I'm like, listen, when you're going to tackle this thing, you have to know that it's in every pattern of everything you do throughout the day. You have to re-examine, and I've used this extreme example, like how you get up and set your day and get the paper and get your coffee and where you go to have security in what feels good. Like you have to look at the whole tapestry of your life.
So true. So true.
It's in everything. Once it's there, it's there.
I found that when I got that, it's not like to overwhelm you with darkness.
Right.
But it's just to help you to realize, no, I want God's love to invade all these areas. That's the goal of uprooting rejection. There is no separation. I'm loved. He's here. He's with me. He loves me. And I can trust. I can let my guard down. And if I get hurt, I can rebound with God and get back into the game. I have tools now to walk this out. I don't have to be a victim now of what people do to me.
Right.
But then I began to realize now this goes way back in my early pastoral work. This goes back to like youth ministry days, music production ministry days, worship, is I noticed there were certain people that when you would sit down and talk with them, this is my heart. My heart is, we can solve this if we just sit down and talk. Right. And any pastor that's watching this is chuckling right now because they're like, yeah, that doesn't solve everything. But I had a sense of like, yeah, if you just understood me, then we'll be fine. And I realized that then the more I talked, the worse it got. And then the more amplified it got. And then it would start triggering stuff in me where like I'm losing my centeredness.
Right. You're like, I need to email them and over explain. I need to call them and say, did you understand what I meant? Like, so that you're ultimately at the end of the goal. The goal
Right.
is to then go, oh, I'm at peace with how this person feels with me.
Right. So then it would bring up my rejection issues of I don't like that we're not good.
Right.
And so which would lead me into I feel like I got to do something to solve this, when a lot of times you just got to just like don't panic, just let it sit.
The worst thing in that is to be okay to do nothing.
Right. Right, totally. And so
I can't.
So going back to what I was sharing is that you would end up with 3-hour meetings that went nowhere. Nowhere. Like seriously, and a lot of pastors talk about this. And you know, I say pastors because that's my history. Many of you, you know, you could be in business, executive board meetings. It's everywhere. You sit down, you got the high maintenance person, right? If you name any high maintenance person in your business, it's all rejection. It's rejection rooted stuff. So I found once I saw this, I'm like, no, I'm not doing these exhausting conversations. Like when I feel it goes nowhere, it's like, we got to let God bring some healing.
Right, because you could say everything in the most perfect way. You could validate somebody. You could, if they even receive any of it, it's momentary. And you're just spinning out. Like you're never going to say, when you're dealing, I'll take it from the standpoint of dealing with someone with rejection, you never going to say it right. It's never going to land properly.
Right. And then you have the land of the twisties.
Dun, dun, dun. Right.
Which is, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So in general, when you're having conversation with people, you just need to know this about yourself. Are you ready? You don't hear what's being said. You hear a filter of it. Even if you're healthy, you hear a filter of it. Because if you understand your brain can only compute so much. So all day long, it's like, for example, when you get in your car and you're driving, your brain doesn't go right foot, hit pedal, you know, turn wheel. Your brain doesn't go head down this road unless you have no idea where you're going, then you're a GPS or whatever. You're an autopilot when you're driving. You're an autopilot actually driving the car, and you're thinking about something else, and your brain's constantly like filtering down to what we call a focus, what you focus on. When you're listening to somebody talk, it's hitting your filter. What they're saying is hitting your filter. So you're filtering in what you think they mean by it. Now, that filter is based on how many years of history you've been living, and you're picking up on certain signals like, am I safe with this person? Am I not? What do they mean by this? You're tuning out some stuff they're saying. Like you ever talk to somebody and there's like, lights are on, nobody's home, they're not really paying attention.
Well, because I think the stuff that you just said is more subconscious. What's at the forefront is people are already thinking about they're not hearing what you're saying. They're thinking about their position in it, their stand on it, and what they want to say to you. So
that's the biggest forefront. So so I went down to the bottom, came up to the surface. That's what's in the front. It's like we're really not listening. You know how the Bible says, be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to wrath. We're quick to get teed off. We're quick to talk. We're so slow to listen.
Right. We just want our narrative out, and that's it.
Right. Because rejection says, I need to be heard. Right. And that's what we live in the culture right now, is the culture of the need to be heard. And we have all these avenues now where, like 20 years ago, if I was mad, I would just tell you. And I guess that's it.
Right.
Or call a few friends. Now it's like Facebook. I'm going to Instagram. I can tweet
put
this.
Put a passive aggressive.
I can write a blog. I can podcast about this. I can do that. I can make a video. I can do all these things now that we can go into where the right to be heard, I must be heard. So now what rejection's doing is it's inflaming the wound, and it's encouraging. If you're offended, you have the right to be offended, and you have the right to communicate this. And it's like, wow, we're losing our ability to reason. So going back to the twisties. So we're in this whole thing where we're not even really hearing what's being said. So therefore we respond and talk out of what you said. We already have something we want to say. We're not really listening and understanding the other person. So then they hear our twisted hit back and then they're responding to that. So now we're having relationship dodgeball where we're just like throwing stuff at each other.
Right.
And then it gets to the point where you don't even really know where you're going. This is classic in marriage.
Marriage, right.
Right? I mean, how many times have we gone through this where it's like, you know.
Then you start to feel insane. Then the crazies come and everyone's spun out.
Right.
It's
right.
bad news. Right.
And I feel like the only way that you and I have been able to break through this is like we got to work on our own rejection issues. Because you have certain nerves that get hit. And I have certain nerves that get hit.
Yeah.
We have to be aware of them personally, but also be aware of them relationally. So when we talk, we're like, oh, I'm hitting that wound. Okay, let me backpedal. I'm sorry. This is what I meant.
Right.
This is my heart. And that's really how maybe we can talk about how to defeat this rejection issue in relationships, and then we can kind of go into more examples. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
So I learned this when some really challenging relationships I was working through. And I was in the midst of really uncovering rejection in my own life. And I'm like, God, how does this work? And I was brought to the passage of scripture where Peter, James, they both talk about it. Humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and he'll lift you up. Resist the devil and he will flee. And I just saw this picture of sometimes we try to resist the enemy and we don't humble ourselves. Right? There's certain relationship problems that only get healed through humility, not in being right, not in winning the argument, not in even like being understood. And that's the problem we have culturally is we want to be right and we want to be heard. That dominates the narrative. So no healing happens, right?
Sign in having our childhood trauma being healed is when difficult people no longer have any power over us anymore. And what that looks like say you've set boundaries with a parent and they send you a letter or they send you a package or something like that, and you see that package on your doorstep, and it no longer like rattles you to your core. It no longer activates you as if they're going to get you or something like that. You're just kind of like, meh, this is some weird attempt, is typical, you know? Or you get an email from that nasty coworker and it's an invitation to a fight or a fight in your head, and you're just kind of like, maybe you respond, maybe you don't, but it doesn't affect you. Or that your sibling who tries to blame and shame you for everything, it no longer works on you anymore because you're just kind of like, try harder. This is just dumb. And two things that get us there, hopefully from good psychotherapy, is that you know that you're a good person no matter what. And the other one is that you're mature enough to know that difficult people are just acting out their trauma by making things about you. That's all it means.
You don't create safety by thinking about safety. You create safety by teaching your nervous system a new emotional state of safety. I'm about to take you through a very quick nervous system reset. This is not about forcing positivity or forcing your thoughts to change. This is about sending safety signals to your body first. Because when the nervous system feels safe, mind and reality reorganizes naturally. Part 1, somatic regulation. We always start with the body because the nervous system responds faster than the mind. Gentle somatic input tells the brain there's no immediate threat. To start, take a nice big deep inhale. Exhale, soften your shoulders, soften the face, unclench your jaw, and soften your belly. You're gonna gently rub and tug on your earlobes, just like this, with your thumb and index finger. Slow, gentle, no forcing. This stimulates the vagus nerve instantly. You can add breath by breathing in for 4, holding for 4, and exhaling for 6. Part 2, EFT tapping. Tapping helps your nervous system discharge emotional activation without reliving the story. Clearing the charge, not analyzing it. Come to your karate chop point. Even though my nervous system has been activated, I'm here now. And I choose to feel safe in my body. Next round. Even though my system learned to protect me, I thank it. And I allow regulation now. Come to your eyebrow point. I choose calm. Side of the eye. I choose safety. Under the eye. I choose presence. Collarbone. I'm safe here now. Take a nice big deep breath in. Sink deeper into yourself. Hands on your heart, one more breath. And release. And part 3, mind-heart coherence. Heart-brain coherence brings the nervous system into the state of regulation and alignment. This is where the signal you emit becomes coherent and stable. Your left hand on your heart, your right hand on your low belly. Take a nice big deep breath in. Feel the connection. Inhale for 5. And exhale for 5. Feel your whole body soften and relax. Imagine the breath moving in through your heart and out through your belly. And now bring in a felt quality of calm, gratitude, softness, love, and relief. Teach your system what safety feels like. This is regulation. This is coherence. And this is how you consistently teach your nervous system a new emotional state of safety and become receptive to everything you desire. If you feel anxious, wired, overwhelmed, distracted, exhausted, or stressed, even when nothing is actually happening, this is important. This means your sympathetic nervous system is active. Body thinks it needs to stay alert even though there's no real threat. When your nervous system is stuck in sympathetic or stress mode, your brain is scanning for danger. Thinking your way out doesn't always work because this response is happening beneath conscious thought. So we need to work with the nervous system directly, not just the mind. I'm about to show you one extremely simple technique that will help you do just that. Introducing the gamut point. We use the gamut point in EFT and nervous system regulation because it helps interrupt stress signals and reintegrate the brain. Stimulating this point sends sensory input through the nervous system that helps shift the brain out of threat mode and back into safety. So go ahead and find your gamut on one of your hands. It's between your pinky and your ring finger, about an inch below the knuckle on the back of your hand. You'll feel it right in there. This point is so powerful because it creates a sort of neurological reset. Rhythmic tapping, I'll show you in a second, and signals through sensory pathways that communicate directly with the brain to relax. Your logic cannot do this. Your body has its own intelligence. How do you do it? You literally just tap rhythmically on this point. With 2 fingers, with 1 finger, you just tappity tap rhythmically for about 1, 2, 3 minutes, and you'll start to feel it. The key is to pay attention to your breath while you're tapping. This tells your nervous system that you are safe now, and your body will respond before your mind even needs to.
Yeah, yeah. Get your ass up and hurry up. Ice Cube, baby. 99, baby. I'm on the grind, baby. All the time, baby.
You can do it, put your back into it.
I can do it, put your ass into it.
You can do it, put your back into it.
I can do it, put your ass into it.
Put your back into it.
Put your ass into it.